Imagine coming home from school one day and realizing that life as you once knew it is now over. Imagine having to say goodbye to your family as you're all separated and sent to different camps where you will more than likely be worked to death. If you lived in Europe in 1930s and 1940s and were among one of the many groups that Hitler disliked, this more than likely could have been your reality. After World War I and the Treaty of Versailles, many Germans felt betrayed by their leaders. They felt as if Germany was in decline, and they were afraid that they would become stuck in poverty. This is when they turned towards Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler was a very persuasive public speaker who could captivate his German audience with his big ideas. Adolf Hitler believed that anyone who was not of German or Aryan blood should not live in Germany, and anyone who was of that descent should not have any say in what goes on there. I found this in an online article titled, "What Were Hitler's Ideas?" Hitler called for a strong, unified country. He insisted that the Jews were responsible for the downfall of the country, and he also insisted they were responsible for communism, for what he also hated as well. He wanted to rid the country of the Jews, the homosexuals, Jehovah's Witnesses, and the Gypsies. He also wanted to rid the country of the mentally and physically disabled because he saw them as imperfections to society. During the Great Depression of 1928, millions of people were unemployed. Hitler saw this as his opportunity to gain power. He promised his listeners that he would return Germany to greatness. In 1932, Hitler ran for president, and although he did not win, he was so popular that the president Paul von Hindenburg elected him as chancellor, making him in charge of the armed forces of Germany. While being chancellor, he tripled the size of the army. Hitler had so much support that he basically shunned the Jews, prohibiting them from working, voting, and being in public spaces. Hitler took over as a dictator and ruled with the Nazis, and beginning the Holocaust in 1933. The term Holocaust originally came from the Greek word holocaustin, meaning sacrifice to fire. The Nazis gave it this name because that was their idea how they were going to kill the Jews. During the Holocaust, almost 11 million people were killed. Of that 11 million, 1.1 of them were children, and 6 million of them were Jewish. The Nazis killed approximately 2/3 of the Jewish population in Europe. When the Nazis did many things to the people they believed did not fit in their perfect society. One example was the Night of Broken Glass. This happened on one November night in 1938 when the Nazis attacked many of Jewish communities in Austria and Germany. They destroyed everything they knew that was Jewish made and owned, destroying 7,000 businesses and almost 1,000 synagogues. They killed about 100 Jews and took 30,000 into custody. They took these Jews to concentration camps. There were about 20,000 of these all over Europe, with all different purposes. Some were labor camps, transit camps, or extermination camps. Many died in these camps by murder, but also by starvation, exhaustion, and brutal treatment. There were also gas chambers in these camps. Inmates would be put into chambers and gassed with Zyklon B pellets. These pellets would cause the mouth and ears to bleed out, causing a long, sufferable death. Nazis took people to concentration camps by train, otherwise known as murder trains. They transported millions of people around Europe to camps. They would stuff 200 people into cars that would typically fit 50 comfortably. Most of the passengers died of starvation and dehydration because they were not given food or water until they reached their destination. Oftentimes, these trips could take weeks. To add to the stress of the trip, any passenger over the age of 4 was required to pay a fee to ride the train, which makes no sense to me. They're just paying to go to their death. I found this on an online article called WeLikeViral.com. There are very few people who actually survived these, but those who did live to tell their stories years after. Eugene Black is the person I'm going to tell you a story about. Eugene Black was only a young teen when he was separated from his family and sent to concentration camps. One day Eugene was coming home from school, and he noticed that the Nazis were already at his house, forcing he and his family into the train to go to concentration camps. They were all separated, and he was transported to Auschwitz, one of the most popular camps we know about today. Upon his arrival to Auschwitz, he was shaven from head to toe, showered, and given a number and a striped uniform. Eugene was lucky and only stayed there for around 10 days before he was transported to 2 other camps where he did slave labor. At these other camps, he was forced to load rocks into trucks that had been dug from the tunnels that they had dug. And he would work for 12 to 14 hours at a time, given little breaks. And he was given very little food portions and very little rest, so he quickly became weak. He actually caught pneumonia, but was saved by a German doctor. He was rescued by the British Army at age 17, and when he finally was off on his own, he discovered that he lost all of his family except for his oldest brother. Adolf Hitler gained support from the Germans shortly after the Great Depression, promising Germany a better country, thus creating the Nazi Party. This began the Holocaust in 1933, where they killed around 11 million people, including the Jewish, Jehovah's Witnesses, homosexuals, and gypsies, and the disabled. Not many survived, but those who did made sure that their stories were known. It is often hard to imagine an event like this happening, and it's often hard to comprehend, but we have to realize what has gone on around us and what has actually happened in our history.